Hello all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And in this series of videos, we are discussing Python from the very basics. And in today's video, we'll be discussing strings in Python. So this is going to be a long video, but let me tell you something that this video is going to tell you a lot about strings. So make sure you watch this video till the end. So without wasting any time, let's just start with the strings. So what is the basic question about strings? So what is exactly a string? A string in any programming language is considered to be a character of sequence, and there are different ways in different languages to define a string. In Python, there are actually three ways that you can define a string. So what is the first way? That as you can see, I have defined a variable single is equals to. So in order to define a string, the first way is used to use single quotes. So everything or anything that you enclose between the single quotes is going to be considered a string. So I have started a single quote and in that I have written hello world and I've closed this with a single quote. So that is a string and I'm printing it with the print function. Now, if you see, instead of single quotes, you can use double quotes as well. So you can use double quotes in the same way I have written a message and then I enclosed it, ended with a double quotes. So the condition is that you can use single quotes, you can use double quotes, is either of your choice. But the condition is if you're starting the string with a single quote, you should end your string with a single quote itself. Or if you're starting with double quotes, you should end your string with double quotes itself. And if I execute this cell, if you see both both the variables have the same value, obviously because they are string. They're defined in different way, but you will have the same output. Now, let's say you want to have a multi-line string. That is the third way. First way is single quotes. Second way is double quotes, and third way is triple quotes. So as you can see, you can use triple single quotes or triple double quotes, either of your choice. And you can define multi-line strings. And as I've defined, Python is really popular for data science. Then I changed the line. The syntax of Python is really simple. Then again, I changed the line, which makes it easy to learn language. And if I print this, if you see, the message is in the same format as I mentioned in the string. So that is how we can use multi-line strings in Python. So these are the three ways you can define a string in Python. But what if you already have a quote, let's say a single quote or a double quote already present in your string? So what do we do that? So if the string itself contains a quote, either single or double quotes, then we can use the opposite quotes to create a string, or we can use a backslash as an escape character. So what do I mean by that? So let's say I have a sample string. You are going to have a lot of fun with Python. As you can see, there is a quote inside the string. So instead, if I just remove this double quote and I put a single quote, as you can see, this particular section is red because that is the color of the string in Python, and this is nothing but black. So what is Python is considering? Python is considering that our string is starting here and our string is ending here. So if you have a single quote in your string, what you can do is use the opposite quote to create your string. So I have a single quote, so I'm going to use a double quote. So as you can see now, I have a string ready. Or what else you can do? Let's say you have a double quote, so you can use a single quote to create your string. But let's say you don't want to use any of those quotes, you just want some other way out. So what you can do, you can use a backslash character just before the quote inside your string. So a backslash is basically an escape character. This backslash tells Python that this don't consider this as a single quote, consider this as a single quote, but that is not a special character of Python. So what do I mean by that? If you just remove this backslash, Python will consider this single quote as the end of the string, provided you have started the string with single quote. So this backslash remove that dependency in this single quote, and Python will treat it as a normal as a normal part of the string. So these are the ways that you can escape with the quotes inside your string. And if I execute this, you can see the outputs are all same. Obviously, you have the double quotes that will be different. Now let's say you want to see the number of the number of characters in your string. So basically you want to see the length of the string. So you can use the length function. Length function in Python can be used to calculate the length of a string. It returns an integer value which simply represents the number of characters in a string, including white spaces and punctuation. So let's say if you have inverted commas, if you have punctuations, and if you have spaces, Python will count them and it will display the number of characters present inside your string, and that will be the length of your string. So let's say I want to calculate the length of this a string underscore one. I just have to write print. Len is the function which actually tells you the length of the function, sorry, length of the string, and you have to pass a string variable to it. And when you execute this cell, you get the length of a string is 46. Now let's move to string concatenation. String concatenation is nothing but joining two or more strings together. So let's say I have first name and last name. So I want to print John Williams as the full name. So what you can do is basically write first name plus last name. So there is something that you should know, that these operators will only work when your operands are likable in nature. So what do I mean by that? It simply means that you can add a string to a string itself. You cannot add a string to a number. So first name plus last name, if I just, let me just comment out this because I want to show you something. So if I just execute this, you can see there is no white space, there is no space between John and Williams. It's because Python just concatenated two strings. It does not introduce any white space on its own. We have to add an extra white space by ourselves. So for that, we can do first name plus an empty space, that is also a string, plus last name. So now you see we have a white space in between the names. Now, let's say you have two numbers, which variable has first value, which is 15, and a second value, the name of the variable, which also has 15. And then I add those variables and I store those value in a variable called total. So I want to print the sum of 15, and 15 is 30. So I want to print that. So there is a very cumbersome way to do that with strings. Just wait for it. I will tell you something very efficient later in this video. Just stay. So sum of string first value. So basically, how do we do that? So basically, I want to print sum of, and I want to add this. I want this 15 to be visible over there, because I want to print sum of 15, and 15 is 30. So as I mentioned earlier, you can add a string to a string. You cannot add a string to Python. Sorry, you cannot add a string to a number. So I want to convert this 15 to a string. So how do I do that? With a string function. So sum of, and obviously you have to add a space over here so that there is a proper space in a string. So sum of string, I created the first value as a string, then plus, and then again I do the same thing for the second value, and is, then again I do the same thing for total. And if I execute this, you can see the sum of 15 and 15 is 30. But this is a very old school way, and this is not even appropriate and not even advisable to use string concatenation in this way. So we are going to discuss some string formatting methods. We are going to discuss old formatting methods, and I'm going to tell you the latest method which is really popular in Python and which is really efficient in terms of time management as well. So first and foremost, it's an old method, but you should be aware of it. It's called the Python C-style string formatting. So basically, Python uses C-style string formatting to create new formatted strings. The percentage operator is used to format a set of variables enclosed in a tuple, a fixed size list, together with a formatted string which contains normal text together with arguments specified. So I know it's a lot to take in, but just understand that these are just string formatters. So basically, let's say percentage S means string, percentage D means integers, percentage F means floating point numbers, and percentage dot number of digits F, it simply means floating point numbers with a fixed amount of digits to the right of the dot. So what's the best way to explain all of this? With an example. So let's head towards it. So I want to print hello John. So instead of I want to print hello John, and let's say I have two different variables. So I want to print hello John. So I create a variable name equals to John. And what do? I write hello and then comma, and then I write percentage S. This percentage S basically acts as a placeholder. placeholder for a string because percentage s here s stands for string. I want to replace this with a string, and then you have to write percentage and then the variable in which the string is stored. And if I execute this, as you can see, it is executed as we wanted. Hello, John. Now the other message, let's say you want a number instead of a string. You want to uh, update with a number. So what you can do, let's say I want to print John is 23 years old. So I create a variable name equals to John and then age equals to 23. So percentage John is a variable. So I want a placeholder for it. So percentage S is percentage D. This will act as a placeholder for age is years old. So you have to pass it in the same sequence as you have passed the string formatters. Otherwise, you will get an error. So percentage S will get the name, percentage D will get the age automatically because percentage D stands for integers. So it will print out John is 23 years old. Now let's move to another example. Oh, this should be example 3. Now I want to print John is 23 years old and he's very talented. I'm using 3 variables. You can use any number of variables you want. So I have a variable named John, then I have a variable named age, and then I have a variable named talent. So I want to print John is 23 years old and he's very talented. So I have 3 variables now. So I just create a string along with the placeholders. Percentage S is percentage D, years old, he is very, and then percentage. And then I have to pass my variables percentage, and then I have to pass a tuple. This is a tuple. So I have to pass a tuple in the same sequence. Name will be the first one over here, and age will be the second one over here, and then again percentage S, which is talent over here. And if you execute this, you will get John is 23 years old and he's very talented. So we have covered percentage D and percentage S. Let's covered these last 2 parts now. So sum of percentage D. Oh yeah, we can do is, if you remember, we did sum of first value and second value is the total value. So let's just hit it with the string formatting. So sum of percentage D and percentage D is percentage D. So you can see it's an easy way to write out instead of using this cumbersome way, and you will get to know more efficient way sooner. So now let's talk about the decimal part, which is the percentage F. Now I want to print John is a Python developer and his salary is $45,000 .700. So I have a variable name which contains the name John. I have a variable name salary which contains the salary. So if I use percentage S, which stands for name, so I want to print percentage S is a Python developer and his salary is percentage D. So if I use percentage D, which stands for integers, it will print the name and it will print the salary. So let me just comment these out so that you can see the difference later on. So if you see, it automatically removed 0.700 because integers are not in decimals. Integers are 1, 2, 3, 4 up to infinity and -1, -2, -3 up to -infinity. Integers are never in decimal. So let's say you want to be decimal. You want your result to be in decimal. Then you can use the percentage F formatter. So you want dollar. After that, you want the salary. So dollar percentage F, name and salary. And if I execute this, you can see 45,000.700. So if you see, we have 2 zeros and we are getting this. So let's say you want specific number of decimal points after the decimal. So that is the way of using this one. So percentage point 2f. So basically this point 2f tells Python that we only want 2 decimal places after the decimal point, and f stands for obviously floating point. And now you can see John is a Python developer and his salary is $45,000.70. So that is a very efficient way of using string formatting. Now let's move to another way of string formatting, which is the format method. So again, I'm going to use the sum of A and B is sum of A and B. So A is 5 and B is 10. I want to print sum of A and B is 15. So what you can do, you can simply create a string which says what you want, which is the sum of. So I create a empty space basically with braces, and again braces is, and again braces, and then dot format a, b, and a plus b. So what happens over here, these placeholders will get these values. So a will get over here, basically you will get 5 over here, b will get over here, and a plus b will get over here. So this is called the format method. So what it does, you create a string, you create placeholders in a string, and then use dot format, and you pass the sequence of the variables that you want to enter. And if I just hit enter, yeah, as you can see, the sum of 5 and 10 is 15. What you can also do, you can jumble up the sequences that won't affect the result. So what do I mean by that? So let's say you have a, b, and a plus b, but the sum of a and b, you don't want to print sum of a and b, you want to print sum of b and a. So you can pass a, b, and a plus b, but you want b to be present first and a to be after. So what you can do, this a stands for zero place, and this is 1, and this is 2, and so on and so forth. So what you can do, instead of even leaving this as empty spaces, what you can do is you can pass numbers to it. So 0 means this particular space will get a, 1 means this particular space will get b, and 2 means this particular space will get a plus b. And if you execute this, see, the sum of 10 and 5 is 15. Earlier it was sum of 5 and 10 is 15. Now let's move forward to the most efficient way, and which is really popular in Python with string formatting, called the F strings. So what are F strings? And we also call it string interpolation. F strings provide a way to embed expression inside the string literals using a minimal syntax. It should be noted that an F string is really an expression evaluated at runtime, not a constant value. So basically, let me just tell you what this means. So whatever method we have covered till now, so what Python does, it's basically create a constant value to it, and then just evaluate the constant value and give us the output. But what happens with F strings? F strings are evaluated at runtime, and that is why they are very efficient with Python, and that is why they are very time saving. In Python source code, an F string is a string literal string prefixed with F, which contains expression inside braces. The expressions are replaced with their values. So F strings are somewhat similar with the format value, because we use braces inside F strings as well. But there is a very funny catch with it. So I want to print, hello, my name is Alex and I'm 23 years old. So what you can do, just create a string as you want to use a format method. Hello, my name is, then you create a braces, and then you write the name of the variable in which the value is stored as corresponding to the name. And I'm age, that is basically it will print out the age over here, years old, and just add an F preceding this string. This will become an F string. And as you can see, the colors getting changed because this is a part of the string. This resembles the variable value, and this also resembles the variable value. And if you hit enter, you can see, hello, my name is Alex and I'm 23 years old. So F strings are really efficient, and they are very popular. And most of the people, if you see, most of the people will be using F strings. They're very efficient to work with. Even I myself use F strings a lot. So let's say you want to print something like this. Okay, this is the same example. I just repeated it. Sorry about that. Oh, sorry, not. So I did a mistake. So let's say you want to print double quotes, name of the person in double quotes. So what you can do is start your name with a single quote, and then use a double quote, and then again double quote to end the double quote, and then basically a single string. And you can pass this name as it is. And if you see, you have a quote inside the string itself. So S strings, again, they are really amazing. Now, example 3. So what is the best part about S string alike is that you can use function inside the string itself. So let's say I want to print the square root of 2 and I want to print the log. base 10 value, sorry, the log base 2 value of 2. So for that, I have to import obviously the function. So I import from math, import sqrt and log. And I want to print the square root of a is sqrt and log of a is log 2. So as you can see, I have just enclosed the function passing the value 2, or you can just pass square root of a and log of a. And if I just execute it, as you can see, the square root of 2 is 1.414 and log of this. Now, this is a very big number. Let's say you want to round these values to 2 decimal places, and we can do that as well. So let me just create a new cell, and let's say it's example 4, and you can use a round function. So basically, a round function accepts two values. First is a value you want to round. Sorry. Yeah. First is a value which you want to round. Second, the number of decimal places to which you want to round the value. I want 2 decimal places. Similarly, over here, I will pass my log value inside the round function, comma 2. And if I hit enter, now the value is much readable. The square root of 2 is 1.4, oh sorry, 1.41, and log of 2 is 0.69. Let's say I want 3 decimal places. That would be better. Now 1.414 and 0.693. Also, you can use F strings with multi-line strings. So name Eric, profession comedian, affiliation Monty Python. So hi, name, you are a profession, you are an affiliation. So automatically, as you might have understood, that these values will pass on these variables. And if I hit enter, you can see, hi Eric, you are a comedian, you are in Monty Python. So just make sure that this message seems to be written multi-line, but we are not using triple quotes, so it will print as a single string only. So we have covered the string formatting method. Now let's move forward to the basic functions which are available in Python to apply on strings, which are string methods. So I have created some sample strings to work on. So I have John, name underscore 1, name underscore 2, name underscore 3. So these are the sample strings that we want to work on. Let me just execute this. Now let's say you want to check what all functions are available for string, and this works for any kind of variable type. Let's say you want to, let me just show you instead. So let's say you want to check the number of functions available over a string. So what you can do, print dir stands for directory, and you just pass str to it. And as you can see, there are a lot of functions for string. And let's say you want to see what all functions are available for integer data type. So dir, and then you just pass int. So as you can see, these are the functions which are available for integer. So you pass any object to it, any type of object to directory function, it will give out all the functions available inside the Python directory. So that is the fun part. Now let's move forward with the function. Let's say you want to convert your string to lowercase. You have your characters in uppercase and you want to convert your string to lowercase. So it is easy as saying name2, which is the string containing the value, dot lower. So the dot lower function will convert the string to lower method, and it will not be a permanent change. You have to store it. As you can see, print name underscore 2 is John, and it is just temporarily changing the value. You have to store it. It is just showing you how it will look if you apply the dot lower function. Similarly, we have upper function. It will convert all the characters in upper cases. Now let's say you want all the characters in lowercase, but you want only the first letter to be capital. So for that, we have capitalize function. So you pass a string object dot capitalize, and you will see you will have, let me just print the print underscore name for more clarity, name underscore 1, comma name underscore 2. So you have print name underscore 1, John, and you can see the J is capitalized, and name underscore 2, everything is capital, but now only J is capital and everything is small. So that is the work of capitalize. It makes the first letter capital and rest of the letter to in lowercase. Now, let's say you want to change the lowercase to uppercase and vice versa. For that, you can use swap case. Just apply this, call this function on a string variable. Name 3, Let me just print name3 again, name underscore 3. So as you can see, I had J to be capital, O to be small, H to be capital, N to be small. And after applying the swap case, you are getting J to be small. Obviously, it was upper, now it is lower. So swap case, as the name suggests, it swaps the cases. Again, guys, let me just tell you one thing, and let me just make it clear that these variables are not making a permanent change. These functions are not making a permanent change to the string. These are just showing you the outputs which will be reflected if you apply this function. So if you want the permanent change, you have to store it inside a variable. Now let's say you want to check if your string is in uppercase, print name underscore 2. And if you want to check if your uh, string is in lowercase. So what you can do is just apply is upper function to a string and is lower function. It will return a boolean value. If your string is in upper, it will return is upper. It will return true. And if your string is in lower, it will return, if you apply is lower, it will return true. So as you can see, John is in upper. So we are applying is upper to it and we are getting true. And name1 is John, which is in lower. We are applying is lower to it. We are getting true. So we'll get a boolean value. Now, to check if the string has a numeric value or not, if you want to check if your string has a numeric value or not, so you can use this function which is numeric. So again, it is the same way as applying till now. You have to apply it on a string object. So you write a string object, then dot is numeric. So I created a string contains 640. So it will tell you if the string only contains a numeric value. Otherwise, you will get a false. Now, to check if the string has alphabets and numbers, if you want to check if your string has both alphabets and numbers, then is al_num is the function you go for. So sample3 dot is al_num. So the string is Marvel 2020, which contains both alphabets and numbers. So hence we get true. Now, to split the string into different words, let's say you have a big string, let's say you have a sentence, and you want to split that sentence on the basis of spaces, So for that, you can use the split method, sample1 dot split. And if I execute this, you can see the sentence was you're going to have a lot of fun with Python. And then if I apply this function split, what it does, it basically breaks down and creates a list. This is a list in Python, which we'll be covering in next video. So then you have a space. So there is comma, there is another word going. So whenever it sees a space, it will split from there. So let's say you want to split on the basis of some character specifically, not spaces. So what you can do, let me just name it 8. So let's say you want to split on the basis of A. Wherever there is a A, you will split over it. So you just pass A as a string in the split function, and then you can see you're going to have a lot of fun with Python. So from here till now, there wasn't the A. There were the first A we get here. So this is the first element we get, and then this is the second element, as you can see. And from here to here we get all the elements, because since there is no A. So that way you can split a string into different sections. Now let's say I want to join this string again. So what you can do, you can use a join function. So basically join function works on a separator. So basically I want my separator to be white space. So I pass an empty string, then dot join. So what I'm doing, I'm actually passing this only. So I'm splitting and then I'm joining in the same function call. So if I just execute this, then you can see I split it and I again join it in the same function call. And let's say you don't want white spaces, you want hashtags or pound sign. So you can just pass a pound sign, and instead of white space, you will have a pound sign between them. So going, pound sign going, and so on and so forth. So that is the work of join function. Now, let's say you have leading and trailing white spaces inside before your string and after your string, and you want to remove those white spaces. So what you can do, you can create, you can use a strip function. You can use the strip function. So what I'm doing, I'm printing the name underscore 4 string. I'm printing the length of it, and then I'm stripping stripping the white spaces from both front, that is leading, and trailing spaces. So I'm actually storing it new variable because I want to show you that the white spaces got removed. So let's say you have one white space before the string and one white space after the string. So technically you should have a difference of 2 between the lengths. So as you can see, my first string was John, which has a white space over here, and the length of it was 6. And if I apply the strip method over it, and then I print it, now you can see there is no white space, and obviously you can not see that there is a white space over after John, but you can see the difference in the length. There were 2 white spaces before and after that were removed, and now the length is 4, which was earlier 6. So now let's say you only want to remove the left white space or the right white space. So what you can do, you can use L strip for to remove the left white space, or you can use R strip to remove the right white space. And if I execute this, you will get this. So here the left white space is removed, here the right white space is removed. So these are the stripping methods which you can use to remove the white spaces from the string. So now moving on to the example 11, let's say you want to count the number of substrings inside a string. So let's say you have a string called banana and you want to count the number of A's and N's inside banana. So what you can do, in this example, we are incorporating as strings and we are incorporating a string method, which is the count. So I'm going to print the number of A's in banana is, and then inside the braces, and I'm calling simply the string. I create this string, new string, banana dot count, which is the method of a string. It accepts the substring which you want to count. So it will print out the number of A's in banana and it will print out the number of N's in banana. And you can see the number of A's in banana is 3 and the number of N's in banana is 2. Okay, so there is only one B, which is obvious, I guess. Okay, so now moving on to the most important part, I guess, in Python, which is indexing and slicing in strings. So slicing, which I'm going to talk about in strings, and indexing is going to be is universal for Python. Slicing is same as we do in indexing, is most of the cases is same in Python, and indexing also is same. So let me just show you some graphics before I move on to the indexing in Python. So as you can see, let's say you have a string which says Python. So you have two different indexing in Python. One is forward indexing and one is backward indexing. Forward indexing starts from 0 and it will move +1 from there. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to the length of the string. Now, backward indexing moves from, as the name suggests, backward, and it starts with -1. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and -6. So basically, Python has two types of indexing, and they both are useful in their own scenarios. Now, moving back to the code. So let's say you have a string named Python S1, and you want to with the help of forward indexing, you want to access the first letter of a string. So how do you do it? You write the string object, which is S1. You can simply, instead of string object, you can simply place a string over here as well. It won't make any difference. Let me just store it for you so that you can have an example with it. I just copy it, print. Okay. So basically, how does slicing works? Basically, you pass a string or a string object, not pass, you just place a string or string object. Then it should proceed, it should have after it a square bracket. And inside the square bracket, you pass the index, basically the position of the letter you want to print. So I want to print the first letter. So with the help of forward indexing, the first letter will be at 0. And if I execute it, so okay. Oh, I did not execute S1, sorry. So now you see S1 is Python, S1 of 0 is P, and Python of 0 is P. Now, with the help of a forward indexing, Let's say I want to print first four letters of string. Now, what do we mean by this 0:4? So let me just show you another graphic for this. So this is called string slicing. So string slicing works inside the square bracket. So it has three parameters: start, colon, stop, colon, step. So the default value of start is 0. The default value of stop, if you start from 0, it will be the length of the string. And the default value of step is 1. So you might have understood what is start and stop. What is step actually? So basically, from traveling from starting to stopping position, you have to have some stepping part. So let's say you start from 0, you have to travel to a stop. So you have to add 1 to the value. So 0 plus 1, 1, 1 plus 2, plus 1 plus 2, 3, 2 plus 1, 3, 4. Oh, sorry, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 1 is 4, and so on and so forth. So this is the part in string slicing which works inside the square brackets. So if you want first four letters, so you have to have uh, I will be starting from 0, and then I want to print first four letters. So as you can see, I'm writing 4, not 3 over here, because this 4 is exclusive, not inclusive. So what do I mean by that? Python will print 0, 1, 2, and 3. It won't print out the letter which is indexed at position 4. So as you can see, the first four letters are PYTH. And what's the fun part is that just I mentioned that the default value of start is 0. So you can just simply remove the 0 and write :4. It will give out the same output as I've done over here. So as you can see, it is a default value, so you don't have to put it anyways. Now, with forward indexing, let's say you want to print letters placed at even places. Now there comes the use of step value. So as you can see, I want to print the letters placed at even place. So if I start from 0, I want to print, then I want to print the letter at third, then I want to print the letter at uh, fifth position. So it should not be even place. Let it be even place only. I will start from 2 itself, so that we will have a even indexing. So I'm starting with 2, and as you can see, we have 2 0 1 2. We have 2 t over 2, and then 2 plus 2 is 4. So 0 1 2 3 4. So we have O, and then obviously we don't have anything. We don't have anything. So yeah, about that. Now, moving forward, another, let's say you want to print, and obviously, as I mentioned, the default value, if you pass 0, uh, if you pass the starting position, Python will automatically calculate the stopping position. That will be the end of the string. So you don't have to mention the stopping position as well. So you can just write 0 if you want to start from 0, ::, you just don't need to mention the stopping part, and you pass the stepping part. And if you execute this, you will get this part. Now, with forward slicing, and also, as I mentioned, a default value is 0. So you can just simply write : :2. It will give out the same way. So you can see there are different ways of writing slicing. So it is just as your choice what you want to write. Now, let's say you want to print the whole string, and I know it's very simple. You can just write print s1, but just in case if you see somewhere that there is only one colon passing through the string, one colon passing inside the string, it will be a whole string. Python. Now, with the what is the use of backward indexing, right? It basically helps you to access the later part of the string. So whatever the length of the string will be, the last element of the string will always be at -1, no matter how long the string is. So let's say you want, and obviously with forward indexing, you cannot calculate. Obviously, you can use the length function, but you have to know that you just don't count it, right? So with the help of backward indexing, you can have the last element in one go. Just write s1 square bracket -1. -1 represents the last position, and you can see we have n. Now with backward indexing, I want to print the second last element. So as you know that slicing works backwardly, sorry, indexing works like -1 -2. So the second last element will be at -2. Now I want to reverse a string, and this is a very popular thing in Python, that it is exceptionally good with syntax and exceptionally easy. So I can reverse a string within one line. So let me just show you that if you write, obviously you want to reverse a string. So you want to start from the back end. That is the -1 part. And if you execute this function, if you see -1, this first line, this is the wrong way, because here the stepping value is 1. So -1 and +1 will be 0. So you are only left with last value only 1, because the stepping value is by default 1. So you have to change the stepping value. So -1 is the starting value. By, as I mentioned, that Python will automatically calculate the length of the end of the string, which is the stopping value, and then just to change the stepping value. And there you see the reverse of the string. And you just don't have to mention this -1 as well. Just change the step value. Python will automatically calculate everything, starting and stopping both. And here you go. So this is how you can use Python slicing to reverse a string. So I know this has been a very long video, but I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned a lot of new things. So please make sure you understand these things very well, because these are very important. And give it a thumbs up if you like the video. And thank you so much. I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.